KPRC2 is your go-to station for getting classroom ready. For many families, the stresses that come along with going back to school don't stop after the first day. They just start, right? Here to talk more about ways to minimize anxiety throughout the first few weeks of school is lifestyle expert Jeannie Jacobs. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming by.
Good morning.
I know this is a really busy time. It's a time to celebrate, but it's
Yes.
also a stressful time, a lot of chaos, getting back into those routines that maybe some of us haven't been in for a few months, or maybe if it's a young family, first time they're experiencing this.
That's right.
So it's all the above. Talk to us about, rituals that parents and students can get into to, have a positive path forward.
Well, I think the first thing you need to do, and this is something I've done for years, encourage your kids to talk about what they feel.
Open communication.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let them say what's on their mind. Let them express what their anxieties or fears are about the first day of school or what they're thinking for the whole year. And once you do that, you hear what they're saying, then let them actually deal with it. And what I'm saying is let them find creative ways for them to recognize what those fears are and find ways to actually achieve success with them.
Yeah.
So what I've done with my children, I've had them actually create their own vision boards and journals and actually write down what their goals are for that school year. And once they start to do that, they realize, oh, this is reasonable. I can do this. I can master the school. That's right. I got it, Mom. And we sit down and figure out what those goals are, and I make sure they don't overwhelm themselves.
Right,
because
absolutely.
They're children. They're not adults. So
that could have a negative impact at that point.
Because you don't want to to squash their confidence and make them feel like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
You want to keep them motivated. But, they create those goals, make sure they're doable, set your milestones so they can see themselves achieving and thriving.
You talk about that motivation, empowering them with the authority, with the control for them to sort of navigate that way. When it comes to preparation, what are your thoughts on that and parents participating in that process? What should that look like?
I think parents definitely should participate because they need guidance.
Yeah.
They're children.
Right.
But
you are the parent, they are the
Exactly.
child. That's what my dad and mother would say all the time.
They need to be a little bit more independent. And I think a great approach with being a parent, why not teach your children early how to manage stress and how to prioritize things based on importance? And I love the ABCDE method. It's great. As I think Alan Lycan, he actually made it very popular years ago. Basically, look at their tasks for the day, homework, tests, whatever they're doing in school, outside of school, and prioritize them. Like the things that you categorize as A are very important. Like if you have an exam the next day.
Like a tier system almost. Yeah.
That goes first.
Yeah.
Then you look at other things. B are things that are important, but not as important as A. C are things that are nice to do. That'd be great if you could do them, but they're not as important as A and B. D, learn to delegate. If there's something you need to do and you have friends who can help you, do it. And E, just eliminate the junk. If they learn how to prioritize things by importance, they're able to manage their workloads and the stress level would be like so low.
Yeah, I love that. I've never thought of it that way, and that makes perfect sense. With stress often comes fear.
Right.
How do we navigate the conversation of fear and how to overcome fear?
Well, I think, again, talking about, is this fear realistic?
Right.
Okay, if you don't get 100 on an exam, does that mean you're not going to college? Is that really realistic?
Right.
Start having those type of conversations, flipping it around.
It's so funny you
works.
mentioned that. I reflect on this moment a lot. I had this social studies teacher. She was 11th grade. I'm not going to say her name in the event that she's watching. This was back in New York. But, I remember being extremely stressed over a major exam. It was state testing. And she said, Zach, the people who love you today are going to love you tomorrow, regardless of what you get on that test. Now, I, of course, prepared for it. It wasn't like I just showed up and didn't know I was having an exam. But I think, and so to this day, when I'm at a crossroads or I'm at a hurdle or I'm struggling with something, I remind myself of just that.
Yes.
And it goes in hand with what you're saying.
Exactly. And I tell my own kids, especially my daughter, she's very high strung.
Yeah.
I mean, she's perfect kid, perfect grades. I said, you're not a grade. You're much more than just a grade. You are who you are in many, many ways. So use those skill sets. But yeah, don't like push our children into an avenue that's all that counts. You know, let them explore who they are and be their most authentic selves. They are going to make mistakes, but we're there to help them and guide them out of those alleys that they encounter. But another thing I think of parents need to think about is the self-care issue, establishing good routines.
Relaxation.
Yes, and the routine I think is first.
Routines first, yeah.
Definitely routines, because you can't just let the kids run amok, right? But I tell people, use Sunday as your planning day for the week for children, because they need to have a day where they can look at their schedules, figure out what they're doing for the whole week. And that is like for school, tests, their extracurricular activities. That's the time for them to organize all their books, organize their rooms, their clothes, their lunches for the week. Because kids like that. It gives them responsibility. They feel empowered. They feel that they can control what's going on, and they're going to be less overwhelmed, or you won't find all the oops that happen during the week. And as parents, we won't be like, oh my God, I forgot.
That panic mode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when they get up in the morning, and I do this for my children, I make them get up, and it's not like they run to the bathroom and they're brushing their teeth wildly. They are going to get up, and I want them to say 3 positive things about themselves. And sometimes we write them on the mirror, and they stand there and they say, I am awesome. I am the best.
I love that.
I am great. Whatever it is about themselves they want to really manifest for that week or think, I let them do that. And they journal. I make them write down, what are you upset about this week? What happened? What didn't work? And it really changes their perspective. So do those things first, then get into your day, get them dressed, breakfast, and off to school, And it's a great way to do it.
And then, of course, making at some point time for that self-care and relaxation, reflection.
Exactly. Why not let the kids just vegetate? We want to push them in so many activities, do this and this. Why can't they just stay home and just, make the Kool-Aid every now and then?
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Tear up the house a little bit. I know we get upset, but it's okay. And I think another big thing is, let's celebrate our wins. Let's teach our kids it's okay to pat yourself on the back, every now and then. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah, and it's okay to fail, too.
Yes.
Those can be celebrated and lessons to be learned.
Exactly.
And I think, having that mindset that, failure builds character, setbacks can lead you to those big wins, that's also critical.
Exactly, that resilience factor, and that's what I tell people all the time. Those failures is not like a step backwards, it's usually a step forward, because it puts you in the place where you need to be. You start learning those skill sets to be the successful person that you need to be.
Builds a whole lot of character.
It does.
Okay, speaking of character, talk to us about making headlines this week. I believe there are something like 19 local districts banning cell phones within their schools.
Yes.
Talk to us. I know, cell phones have become a way parents keep connected with their child while they're at school. We necessarily didn't have cell phones when we were growing up or going to school. I got one, I think, when I was like 16, and it was at the end of my tenure. But it's a big way of life today. Talk to us about how parents can navigate this, stay connected with their child while still following the policies in place that are banning cell phones.
We're dealing with that in our house too, so we're trying to figure that out. But
happy medium.
Yeah, but I think it's a good idea that don't have the cell phones in the classroom, because I've seen kids TikTok during class. It is a distraction. So at least the schools my children go to, if there is an emergency or my kid needs to talk to me, they can actually go to the office and they can give us a call. But we have these talks in the morning, and I think that's important, that routine. So what are you going to do today? What are your thoughts? What if this happens today? What are you going to do? Go ahead and have those conversations before they get to school, so these problems or things that they need to call you for don't arise. So that's our battle plan.
All good information. As always, Jeannie Jacobs, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.